and no pressure and no one telling us what to do.
It was different just having the three of us there, but, you know, we're starting to form a good identity for the band. That's when Dave was first starting to become more comfortable as a lyric writer.
A song like Ain't It the Life, without realizing what I was doing, I was kind of making this wish list of all the things in life I wish I had.
We weren't really on a major deadline. Our friend Adam Casper was down there in engineering and co-producing.
I did all of those vocals sitting on a couch.
It was just a laid-back record, and you hear it.
And the Grammy goes to? The Grammy goes to Learn to Fly, Foo Fighters. There's nothing left to lose, Foo Fighters.
We won 3 Grammys for that record, and I remember standing there at the podium making the speech, looking out at all those people in tuxedos and diamonds and shit, thinking, I bet you this is the only record made in a basement that's going to win a Grammy this year. And I was so fucking proud.
Take care. Thank you very much, everybody. Roll camera. And roll sound.
Roll playback.
We take our music really seriously, but music videos, they're commercials. They're candy commercials. So why not make fun of the process?
Run and tell all of the angels, this could take all night.
But once we got into it, I started having fun with it, and it became a trademark for this band.
Hook me up a new revolution.
Try not to take ourselves too seriously. You know, like in videos a lot of times, you can easily get caught up in that. You know, we're playing on a mountaintop. The wind's blowing in your hair, and, you know, there's an eagle flies down and lands on your shoulder. Or some, you know, like they...
Looking for a satellite. Looking for something to help me find out right. I'm looking for complication.
I just think that's a sort of a outlet of our humor.
Make my way back.
I mean, I've seen Dave do stuff on videos where I'm being such a fucking goofball. I'm not as good at it. You know, I did try to make us a trio. Dude, Police! We're a trio.
Musically, we needed more guitar.
Part of the sound of the Foo Fighters is a lot of guitars. It's just part of the sound. We argue about it every time we mix a record because I always want the drums louder, and Dave's like, it's the Foo Fighters. The guitars are really loud.
None of us had, like, the right guy that was a friend or a friend or a friend, or that just wasn't handy, so we had to have open auditions for a guitar player.
Pin a note at the Guitar Center, like, guitar player wanted for Foo Fighters.
We wound up in this rehearsal space, and I just remember this line of guitar players, and I was terrified.
Sounds great. I mean, I dig it. Nice meeting you for the first time. Hopefully see you again soon.
There's the guy that came in and hugged everybody, and was like, hi. Hi.
There was one kid that came in. He was so nervous. He came in. He's like, hey, man, what's up? Hey, will you sign something for me? He just immediately wanted us to sign some shit. And we're like, yeah, dude, yeah, cool. It's cool, you know, just relax. Let's hang, you know, let's talk. And we hung out and we talked a little bit. And then he went to open up his guitar case, and it was locked. He got a brand new guitar, a brand new case, and he fucking locked his guitar in it. And didn't have a key.
We literally did like fucking a week or two of tryouts. And I remember there was one point where it's getting a little dire. We're like, fuck.
A good friend of mine
called me and said, hey, I heard Guns N' Roses are auditioning guitar players, and I think I could get you an audition. And I was like, well, I don't want to audition for Guns N' Roses. But I said, but I heard that Foo Fighters guitar player quit. See if they're, try to get me an audition with Foo Fighters.
Everyone, shake hands with Chris. Chris!
Hello. Hello, Chris.
When Chris came into audition, we somehow came to the realization that we met when we were kids at a punk rock show in Santa Barbara.
Years and years before any of this, when Dave had been the drummer in this band called Scream, and I was playing bass in a band called Rat Pack, and we actually opened up for him.
The fact that he was a part of that underground punk rock thing was really important to me. So we bonded pretty instantly because I thought, all right, he's going to get it. He's going to understand, and he won't take this shit for granted.
Sing, and he was a shredder, and he was a good guy, and he'd been in bands, and he didn't smell, and he was awesome.
So the next day, just all day, I just sat there by the phone, and at like around 5 or 6, the phone rang, and it was Dave and Taylor, and they said, all right, you got the gig. We start rehearsing tomorrow. Say goodbye to your friends. You're not going to see anybody for the next year.
It was like Chris joined the band and we had our itinerary ready to go. Okay, ready? We're going to leave for fucking 10 years. Let's go.
The Foos found their new best buddy in Chris Shiflett, a former member of punk bands No Use for a Name and 22 Jacks.
I remember wanting to kind of help Chris feel comfortable. We went out to dinner a couple of times. Just trying to not to have it be a situation where he just comes in and is just like, okay, go.
When I joined Nirvana, I was the 5th drummer of Nirvana. With Chris, it was maybe the same way, He's the 3rd guitar player of the Foo Fighters.
In the early days, of being in the band, it's like I didn't want to fucking step on anybody's toes. I didn't even know what, I didn't know what my place was, and I was just genuinely this was everything that I ever wanted, This was the dream coming true.
Every time Foo Fighters would put out a record, I would get really excited and miss it so bad.
I found out after being in the band for a couple months that they had almost replaced me with Pat. Pat almost came back, who they had a lot of history with, and there was a relationship there. Dave didn't know that I knew that, and probably most of them didn't.
There was at least a couple times where I called Dave and said I went back. Then when it looked like it might actually happen, and then I just got scared.
After being in the band for a couple months, I sort of had this feeling this could all end, and I'm going to enjoy this while it lasts, because it probably will end sooner than I want it to.
That 3rd record, we went on the road with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. For 4 months, we toured America with them. We had never played arenas before. We hadn't done that arena rock thing.
That's when we started coming up with jams on stage and working out like a show. Not a show, not dancers and shit in a show, but really kind of work out a good set so that it's impressive.
Taylor really drove that home. It was great because that changed the band probably forever and made us concentrate more on really playing together.
We had a stage setup that we had built for the arena. It was basically modeled after the Queen Live Killers record cover. It was very 70s.
Hi, this is our dressing room. This is where we get dressed before we play.
We had this little uniform set. We brought a wardrobe case, and everything was in red and black or white. It was our sort of color theme for the tour. It was the first time we thought about it in terms of something like that. Let's look a certain way on stage.
I had the black shirt with the white tie and the black pants, and Nate had the red shirt with the black tie and the red. We looked like Kraftwerk or something like that. It was silly, really. But we put on this show, and we fucking killed it.
Okay. I'll see you guys in a town near you, I hope, very soon. Take care, and I love you.
It just stands to reason, no matter how great of a thing that your life or your job is, after a while, you need a break.
That was fun until after like 2 months of doing it, it feels like Groundhog Day. All those arenas look the same, and you start bringing the bottle of whiskey to the stage with you.
We'd start out with, let's do a shot before we play. We'd call it band prayer. And then that turned into like, let's do 10 shots before we play.
And we all started getting fucking hammered before we went on stage, and we got really shitty by the end.
I think that's probably why so many musicians wind up getting so fucked up. It's because you need something to keep it fun.
Taylor had been struggling with drugs, I think. He and I had talked about it a few times,
I didn't really know how to deal with the way you were supposed to be. And I thought that to be a rock and roller, you have to be the fucking Keith Richards. You have to be the dark, partying, fucking the real deal. That's the only way it's real rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
I would tell him, I'd say, dude, I love you like a brother. I'm not a cop. I'm not your dad, whatever. But I'm worried about you, We were in London, and we all went out to a bar one night across the street from the hotel, and we were having a good time. And I came back to my room early. And in the morning, I got a call that he was on his way to the hospital.
We got word that Taylor's in a coma at the hospital. And I OD'd on, whatever it was. I think it was heroin that he did. And our sound man at the time, he was like, oh yeah, Taylor fucked up. He's gonna die. Like he's fucking dead.
It was so weird, like he hadn't died, but he had overdosed. And I just felt so totally helpless,
What sort of things do you demand on tour?
Instruments.
So I sat with him for those couple weeks until he woke up. And when he woke up, I said to him, dude, it's gonna be okay. And he looked at me and he said, fuck off. And I thought, oh, good, everything's gonna be okay.
And Dave's like my best friend. And even more than like a best friend, he's like a brother. He really is. And yeah, he was, as I would be with him, if something happened to Dave where he was on the brink of death, I would be losing my mind. And, he was losing his mind. So we get back from London after my fucking OD, and then 2 months after that, we start trying to make this record.
But we weren't ready, and nobody's really into it. Everyone's playing half-assed.
I'd do something, and David would listen to it and say, like, no, this has got to change, and this is not working with the vocals, and that's too busy, and I was disagreeing. So I had a shitty attitude because I was pissed.
It was bizarre. It was my first record with the band, and I was just showing up to the studio every day and was sort of confused, like, it's weird, I'm really never playing on this. I show up at noon every day, and I kind of sit here and I eat food and drink coffee, and then I go home, and what is this?
There's a little bit of like infighting and whispers of blah blah blah's pissed at blah 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 about